Okay, if I can have your attention, it's close enough to 5:30. We're going to call this meeting to order of the January Board of Education. And our first item up is Pledge of Allegiance, led by Mr. Butch Oliver. Caught you off guard there.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Butch. Our mission statement tonight will be read by Mike Isbell.
The mission of the Beaufort County Schools team is to enhance the quality of life in our community by nurturing all students and educating them to their fullest potential.
Okay, thank you. Lisa, do we have any public comments tonight? Okay, so we'll skip right past that and move to approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions? Anybody have anything you need to chat? Okay, then I'll...
The capital, please get pulled out.
I'm sorry?
Capital request.
I don't know if it's pulled out or not, but...
The capital request. Okay, we can
Yeah,
address it
we
when it comes up.
can address that and just skip right by that. Okay, I have a motion. Did I have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have an agenda. And next is the approval of the minutes from the past meeting, and should have had time to look over those already from the January 11th and a closed session meeting on the 11th. There's no
Motion approved.
discussion. Okay.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. If there's any discussion, if not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved, Lisa. That carries us to public recognition, and tonight, Ms. Carolyn Walker is going to be handling that along with Nicole, I believe, and I'll just turn that over to them.
Good evening. Our character trait that was recognized in our schools for the month of January was self-discipline. At the elementary level, the students who were nominated were from Bath Elementary, Max Van Zant; Chocowinity Middle, Emily Minardi; Chocowinity Primary, Maria Wainwright; Eastern Elementary, Camden Ward; John Cotton Taylor, Chad Bright; John Small, Luke Askew; Northeast Elementary, Zion Ebron; and S.W. Snowden. There were two nominees, Nicholas Gomez Salcedo and Sarah Adams Rodriguez. And the winner at the elementary level was Camden Ward from Eastern Elementary. If you will come forward.
Stand right in front of me.
And Camden,
The camera can see your handsome face.
Camden is a first grader at Eastern Elementary. His parents are Allison and Garcia Ward, if they will stand. Okay. And he was presented by his teacher, Ms. Roxanne Beeman, if she will stand as well. And Ms. Beeman wrote, "Self-discipline is the ability to control your actions and make smart choices that will help you improve yourself. One student in our classroom uses self-discipline every day. Camden Ward is such a dedicated student and friend. Each day he comes right in the classroom and gets on task. He is so efficient in unpacking his things and getting to work. We never have to remind him of what is expected of him each day. We have independent literacy stations that provide practice and objectives that we have covered. The children have to have the self-discipline to complete these stations each week, and this is no easy task. Camden works diligently to complete his literacy stations each week. He is always concerned about not being able to complete what is required of him. Not only does he complete his work, but he is always willing to help out a classmate who may need some guidance. This is so important because there is not always a teacher available. One day during literacy stations, a child called out to me saying that he didn't know what to do. Camden spoke right up and said that he would help his friend. He always has his homework and always strives to do his very best in all things. What is really important about this is that Camden is well liked and respected by all his peers. He is a great role model of one who works hard to make smart choices even when others around him may not. So many times in our world today, it seems that so many people choose to pattern their behavior after people who make the wrong choices. This young man will always be a leader, and I know that he will always make good choices in all areas of life. It is so great to know that our future is in the hands of such an outstanding young man. We say congratulations to Camden.
Okay, Camden. here, but I want the kids down on the other side of the room. We can all learn a lot from Camden, I think. I want you to go around and greet the boys and shake their hand. They want to congratulate you on the job well done. And meet me over there at that green card.
Good job.
Sign your name again. You see, you can't get mad if you're sign your name anywhere you want to. That's discipline. No wonder you got this okay, and then you get now, I'm going to let you hold this, but we're going to bring you back up for a picture, okay?
At the middle school level, the nominees were Caroline Boyd from Bath Elementary, Chocowinity Middle, Caitlin Reynolds, Northeast Elementary School, Wallace Boyd, P.S. Jones, Olivia Gooch, and from S.W. Snowden, Samia Wahib. And the winner at the middle school level was Olivia Gooch from P.S. Jones Middle School, if she would come forward. Olivia is a sixth grader at P.S. Jones. Her parents are John and Jennifer Gooch, if they will stand. And she was presented by her teacher, Miss Dawn Landon. If she is here, she will stand as well. All right. And Miss Landon wrote, sixth grader Olivia Gooch shows in every aspect of her life just how self-discipline is like a muscle. Like many kids her age, Olivia juggles various activities in and out of school that can be time-consuming and sometimes stressful. How Olivia is different than most of the kids her age is the fact that she tackles all of the activities with equal passion and fervor and does so without seeming stressed at all. Olivia is an honor roll student, participates on P.S. Jones' Battle of the Books team, plays a variety of sports outside of school, and makes time to devote to art. All of the work that Olivia turns in to me is done with care and thoughtfulness, and if the assignment allows, with an artistic flair that is well beyond the usual abilities of a sixth grader. In order to complete work on this level, Olivia must set aside time to concentrate on the task at hand. Olivia also joined our Battle of the Books team later in the school year than most of the other team members, but has read several of the books on the list and participates well and is a team player during class competitions. I admire Olivia's motivation and the self-discipline that it takes her to organize all the many activities in her life and to do it all in a cheerful manner, making it look easy. Olivia's desire to build the muscle of self-discipline will lead her to great places. We say congratulations to Olivia.
I'm going to shake your hand. Many years ago, when the world was flat, I was in Battle of the Books at P.S. Jones. You want to go around and shake your hand? I'll reach on the other side. I did that.
Good job.
You did, but what it is.
Books are a lot heavier than
That's right. Just that they had to use books and not computers.
You probably read them all. Bad little bit. Here you go. Hold on there. We're going to bring you back up for a picture,
Okay? At the high school level, the nominees were from Northside High School, Amelia Woolard, from Washington High School, Zaire Johnson, and from Southside High School, Faith Bolden. And the winner at the high school level was Zaire Johnson from Washington High School. I don't believe he's here, so we're going to ask either his principal or his teacher to come stand in his stead. Zaire Johnson is an 11th grader at Washington High School. His mother is Ms. Christina Johnson, and he was presented by his teacher, Ms. Beth Pippin. Ms. Pippin wrote, "I would like to nominate Zaire Johnson, whom I work with during third period every day. Zaire shows self-discipline in many areas. He always is on time and where he says he will be. Being with me for third period, I am sometimes coming from other schools and meetings, and he is always waiting on me in the media center. He is responsible and always completes homework while working with me or at home. He is organized and all of that takes self-discipline. Zaire lost his hearing as a baby when he was very sick with meningitis. He has a cochlear implant and a hearing aid. He must have self-discipline to wear this every day and ask questions when he misses or doesn't hear something. He is an advocate for himself and a very good student. All of this success stems from his self-discipline. He doesn't get in trouble because he has enough self-discipline to not get involved in drama. I am very
Just in
proud."
time.
All right, we're going to start over again. We're going to start over again, okay? All right. Starting over, Ms. Pippin wrote, "I would like to nominate Zaire Johnson, whom I work with during third period every day. Zaire shows self-discipline in many areas. He always is on time and where he says he will be. Being with me for third period, I'm sometimes coming from other schools and meetings, and he is always waiting on me in the media center. He is responsible and always completes homework while working with me or at home. He is organized, and all of that takes self-discipline. Zaire lost his hearing as a baby when he was very sick with meningitis. He has a cochlear implant and a hearing aid. He must have self-discipline to wear this every day and ask questions when he misses or doesn't hear something. He is an advocate for himself and a very good student. All of this success stems from his self-discipline. He doesn't get in trouble because he has enough self-discipline to not get involved in drama. I am very proud of how he carries himself, and I think as a teenager, one must have a lot of self-discipline to be on task, as Zaire always is." We say congratulations to Zaire.
For you to go around the room and shake the board's hands, and I'll meet you on the other side.
Proud of you.
With pencils and a t-shirt. And that is for you, and this is you. And then if we can have the other two come up and oh, that's all right. You get to sign. You'll sign your name.
The other two winners to come up and join us for a picture, if you would.
You're fine. Wherever we get y'all in. Thank you, back. Everybody look this way.
We're going to do our Clean School Award, and we're going to do it for December 2015, and have that group come up and be recognized as they deserve, and then we're going to do January 2016. So I'd like to ask the custodial staff from Chocowinity Primary School, Henry O'Neill, head custodian, Walter O'Neill, and Joseph Smith to come up. They've been here so they know the routine. They had a score of 100%. Let's recognize them with a round of applause.
I don't know what's better than 100, and there's Walter. Obviously, I did not do it. And Henry. But You would have to be designated. Congratulations. Hold on for that.
You can read more, and then we'll get
Yes, you want to go through and read through, and then you can be back in the middle.
What a good crew there, buddy. Man, I love seeing y'all over here. Mr. Henry. This is the crew here now, I'm gonna tell you. That's from Barbara. I was out at school the other day, and the floor, like I could comb my hair and look at myself. It was shining so bad. I'm sitting, and with all those young kids that they have, I don't know how to do it. I know it's clearer than my kids. But I better not say that, Carolyn might hear. I told my little grandson that goes to school there, I said, you better not go in the bathroom and wash your hands and shake water on the floor.
We'd like to recognize those schools that scored a 95 or higher as honorable mention for the month of December 2015. We had 2 schools at 99.5, Southside High School and Chocowinity Middle School. S.W. Snowden was at 99%, P.S. Jones Middle and Ed Tech at 98. We had at 97% John Small, Bath, Washington, and Eastern Elementary. Northside High School at 96, and John Cotton Taylor at 95. Let's give them a round of applause. Now for the January 2016 Clean School Award, I'd like to invite the custodial team from Chocowinity Middle School to come up. Carlton Robertson, head custodian, Derek Daly, and Serena Gibbs. They too had a perfect score of 100%. Let's give them a round of applause.
That's some clean people in Chocowinity. Keep them straight, Carlton.
It's on camera, Carlton.
Gotta give it to him.
Then our honorable mention schools for January 2016, again with a 95% or above. Southside High School and Snowden Elementary had 99s. Chocowinity Primary School and the Ed Tech Center 98. Northside High School and Bath Elementary 97. Eastern Elementary 96. P.S. Jones Middle School, Washington High School, and John Small Elementary 95. Let's give them a round of applause.
Is that it on the public recognition? That is? So this concludes the public recognition portion of the meeting. We usually will pause here for about a minute for those of you that came for just that part. You're welcome to stay to the rest of the meeting. Might not be as interesting as what you just witnessed, but if you came for that part and you wish to leave, we'll give you a minute to clear out. Thank you. Chocowinity is a clean place this past month or two, isn't it? 2 100s. That is, yeah, 2 100s.
If I said a clean sweep, would that be a play on words?
Yeah, that would be, you should have said that.
Well, you cleared this
So we're
room.
going to cut him loose as well?
Who's that?
That's all right, whatever his name, or whatever.
I think it's okay.
You don't have to stay. You're welcome to stay. Yeah. I don't know why we always do that though, but
Stan, you thought he was talking to you. Not this time.
not this time. Okay, that takes us into the no action discussion, and we have calendar. I'm assuming something's changing about calendars.
Well, we've got to adopt the 2016-17 academic calendar. We've had our calendar committee convene, and we've worked on a third revision of the draft, and you see that attached. And what I wanted to do was just show this to you tonight. with the understanding that we've sent this out for all of our employees to have the opportunity to provide feedback. We have parents involved as well on the committee, and there are several things here that I want our board and the public to be aware of. This is the perfect opportunity for us to explain to the General Assembly why the calendar legislation that we have to abide by is difficult at best to work with. And this is the perfect storm, for lack of a better term, of what the issues are with the calendar. We're not allowed to start school any sooner than the Monday closest to August the 26th. And you can see that the 26th of August actually falls on a Friday, so we can't go the 26th, 27th, or 28th. So the earliest we can start school next year will be on August the 29th. That's because of the mandates from the General Assembly. We have to end at a certain date in June, and our ending date would have to be no later than June the 9th. And it could actually extend to the 11th, but it has to be on the Friday closest to June the 11th. So we're squeezed at the beginning and we're squeezed at the end. In addition to that, a 10-month employee has to work a maximum of 195 days. There have to be annual leave days, 10 annual leave days built into the schedule. We have to give the same holidays that state employees get, which are 12 holidays, and then we have to have teacher work days and whatnot that are built in. When you take a look at when we have to start and when we have to end, there's some issues with this calendar that we want folks to be aware of, and we're putting this out as a draft to try to get feedback. And we'd like to have something back to you in early February to go ahead and do an adoption. I think we've been spoiled the last couple of years because of the way the calendar has fallen, that we've been able to get 2 full weeks during the Christmas break. We've been able to have 2 complete weeks, and if you add the weekends, it's really about 16 days. If you take a look at what we have right here, we would be going into that first week of what would be a Christmas break and doing an early release on Tuesday the 20th. And then we would have annual leave days on the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. The state holidays are 3 for Christmas and 1 for New Year's. You see those represented in the following week. And then we had mixed feedback. The parents that were in the group felt like it was okay for the students to go back to school on January the 2nd. Which would be the holiday for New Year's, would have been served by us or recognized on the 30th of December. Now, to get in the annual leave days that are required, we always have those in the Christmas break time and also in April, but we're recognizing the holiday for Easter on the 17th, which means that we use 4 annual leave days for the remainder of the week. When you add that up and you consider the annual leave day that's on a Wednesday before Thanksgiving, there are only 9. We have to come up with the 10th day somewhere. And if we put it anywhere in the calendar from the 29th of August to the 8th of June, we're going to take away an instructional day. We just have no room to work with. So we've stuck that other annual leave day at the end of the year on the 14th. Because, frankly, there's nowhere else to put it without stretching the calendar out. Now, a couple things we've heard through the years, the parents and students and faculty members like having the Wednesday before Thanksgiving as a teacher work day. And we don't have it as a work day here, we have it as an annual leave day, so teachers would not have to come in and families would be able to travel that Wednesday prior to Thanksgiving. We also have in the past have had to have teacher work days at the end of grading periods, but when the calendar bills changed, that was taken away, and what we're trying to do is we always put a work day at the end of the first semester, which is the break for high schools. It also represents the end of the second 9 weeks grading period for our elementary and middle. And if you take a look at January the 16th is Martin Luther King Day. The days that appear in red mark the end of the grading period, so the semester would end for high school students and the second 9 weeks would end for all others on the 20th of January, and we'd have a teacher work day on the 23rd. The other thing that we try to be mindful of is inclement weather and making sure that we build in days so that we can use those if we have to. And we also realize that from the Labor Day holiday on the 5th of September until the Veterans Day holiday on the 11th of November is a long stretch. So we try to put a work day in. And we also, in this part of the state, you all know, we have some issues with weather that occur in late summer, early fall as well with tropical weather. So we've put those work days in. And what we're asking for is feedback from the community. We're asking for feedback from our employees, and then what we'd like to do is come back to you in early February with what we're proposing to be the calendar for adoption. But I wanted you to see this because people are going to have different opinions, and what I've heard already is that folks would like to have 2 weeks at Christmas, but there's just no way to build 2 weeks in Christmas in when we've been squeezed with the starting ending dates the way that they are. If there's any other changes or ways to tweak this, we certainly would take those into account. One thing I think we will look at, the early release days right now actually fall after the 9 weeks break. In November, you see we have one on the 2nd, and in March we have one on the 31st. My proposal would be that we'd actually do those early release days on the last day of the 9 weeks, and that gives teachers an opportunity to tidy up their work and finish things during the grading period and then be able to move on. So I just wanted you to have this for advisement. The other feedback, just kind of giving you an idea of what you might hear. There's some folks who don't like the number of teacher work days at the beginning of the year. They feel like they're too many. There are others who don't feel like we've got enough at the end of the year. So we're trying to balance that out to get things done the best we can. The first two, if you look at the purple background, the checkerboard purple background is an optional teacher work day. So teachers that have leave build up, they don't have to come in on those days. The required work days would be that first full week in August when students, before they come back. And then at the end of the year, we'd require work days on the 9th and the 12th. And then there'd be an optional work day on the 13th with that annual leave day on the 14th. But we'd love for you to have a conversation with folks, parents, teachers, students, and let us know what the feedback is so that we can have something ready for you before we have our meeting in February. But again, not asking for any action tonight, just wanted you to be aware, this is a difficult task. It's even much harder, it's much harder this year because of where the dates fall in terms of starting and ending. And just for political commentary, what we would like is local control. We're not asking for statewide edicts that say you've got to start at a certain time. Give local school districts the ability to pick those dates within reason, and it would allow us to have a lot more calendar flexibility and be a much easier task for us to work with. But I just want the public to be aware of what we try to do. Sarah will have this posted so folks can take a look at it and kind of leave it there for you to look over and review and seek feedback, and we'll bring it back in February.
Dr. Phipps, is there any possibility at all that we can request an earlier start? I mean, they probably would say no, but is there any wiggle room?
No, there's no waiver granted for the calendar unless you've met certain criteria for weather or power failures or whatever that has to happen, if I remember correctly, in 6 out of the last 10 years or something like that. So it clearly does not apply to us.
So this is going to force everybody, every public school in North Carolina to start on the 29th?
That's right, unless they have a waiver, and some of the mountain counties might, and your non-traditional schools that are year-round would be on a different schedule, but everyone else would not be allowed to start any sooner than the 29th of August.
You're really getting hit both ends.
I should know this, but who in the legislature or state government, or who is big on forcing these dates, all of us into one mold?
Well, I think the biggest issue...
Whose interest is this in? That's what I'm trying to...
The tourism groups in North Carolina are concerned about the summers being chopped and made shorter. And what would happen is we would get out earlier in the summer. So we'd be out sometime, if we could change the way we want to change, we'd be out in late May. And then summer vacation would begin then, and we'd start sometime in the middle part of August. We're not talking about going back August the 1st. We want to be able to finish the semester when we do our Christmas break is what our goal would be. And then our students would be, and we basically be on the same calendar with the community colleges and universities. But we continue to ask the General Assembly to take a look at it, and our advocacy groups will do that again. This is the perfect opportunity to show what's wrong with the bill.
Well, is this something our lobbyists could help us with?
Certainly could, and we've talked with them already, and they've got it on the agenda.
They've been working on it.
Yeah.
We just haven't heard very many positives. But the easiest way to figure that out, Mike, is the closer to the beach you get, the more interest they're in it.
Well, and I have another suggestion.
You have a legislator
I
close
made
to the
this
beach.
suggestion the last time we glanced at this. If whatever goes out to parents, can you please put a key on it? Because sometimes
they won't
reading
know
that
all
little bit of white in the red is a little more difficult than if I look at the bottom or at the top of something and I know that a yellow block means this and a purple, you know what I'm saying?
I was going to ask the
I
same
agree,
thing.
yeah.
If you
Thank
could just
you.
put a color legend.
Yeah, it would
color block legend
really,
on it.
Purple means this.
I think it'd be a little more user-friendly.
Understandable for them.
And Ms. Booth, has this been entertained at the state board? Have they had any discussions about the way the calendar is driven? Is this something they may be willing to take up
Well, for this year,
for any school year? I
okay,
mean,
for,
Just period, as a principal.
usually they did for the past years, but this year we haven't had any meetings, so I don't know what would be coming up in the meetings for this year.
it'd be nice if it's coming at the legislators from about 4 different places, they may take notice that it really is not a popular way for us to have to
So
make
there
a
are
schedule.
powerful, should we say, commercial interests that push
Yes.
for these restrictions?
Yes. Very powerful interests.
Sure would be nice to
But it
start
would-
on August 22nd, which
Right,
is still the end of the
How do
month.
our own state legislators, how does Mr. Speciale and Mr., what's his name, Tyne, how do they stand on this? I just don't think this is representative government.
What was your suggestion, Cal?
To get this, to ask the
That's a
state board to
good
get
question,
involved
Mike.
so that they.
I mean, really,
Are willing to either,
I'm involved
one of
enough
two
to
things,
feel
grant
it
waivers
continues-
like I need an
local
answer, and I think the public
Yeah.
does too.
It continues to be on our legislative agenda.
Right.
In fact, from the School Boards Association, from the association that make up the school superintendents, we continue to push that. And again, the issue is, we're just asking for local control. Let the school districts at the local level decide what's best for them in terms of start and ending dates. And that's all we're asking for.
Well, the people I vote for claim they're for local control. Now,
Well,
either they are or they aren't. And
There's going to be some forums coming up because it's an election year and these
Well,
very people are running. That'd be a good question to
I
ask
would
them at the
suggest
forum.
people to contact whoever they're going to support and insist that, I mean, this to me is a very important issue.
Yeah.
And for the public to be aware as well too, with the changes in the calendar bill in recent years, a school year used to be 180 days, and that's just what it was. Now it's 180 days or 185 days or 1,025 instructional hours.
Okay.
And we are well above the 1,025 instructional hours, but we try to make sure that we don't drop below 180 days. And we still meet the requirements that we have to meet in terms of minimal instruction time. But they're just issues in terms of the calendar and the dates, and we want you to be aware of it because we certainly feel like there'll be strong feedback. And while our hands are tied, I think we have to listen to those pieces of feedback and try to build the calendar to satisfy as many folks as we can, which is a difficult task.
Okay, so you'll be back next month.
We will.
So we'll be satisfied if we could just get local control.
Well, then we can move the start date, if that's what we so choose to do. Yeah,
Right.
You're right. Okay, that's going to move us into the action portion of the meeting, and the first item up is capital budget updates. Mr. Hudson.
Good afternoon.
Howdy,
Hello, Stanley.
Give y'all an update, and I think y'all have the pictures attached on some of the projects that get
We
to
have
talk about in a second.
We have a bunch of stuff.
You wanna-
Stan, which one would you like for us to click
We're
on?
completed projects. It should be at the very top of
You
your.
get- The first one is the capital updates.
Yep.
Already's on mine.
Yes, ma'am. Get that right there. There we go. We have completed the installation of the two fences at P.S. Jones Athletic Area. The work was completed by Clark and Son Fence Company in the amount of $4,577.40. We were budgeted $6,000 and we're under budget, balance remaining of $1,422.56. We completed the roof project of Pod 5 at Eastern Elementary. The work was completed by Curtis and Curtis in the amount of $34,194.29, and we had a $50,000 budget, left us a balance of $15,805.71. Any questions with the completed projects? Work we currently have in progress, and there's attached pictures of each one of these files in there. I think it's in the next document behind that. Washington Fieldhouse, it is dried in. All exterior doors have been installed. Roofing is complete. They're currently working on the roofing installation of the HVAC. Electrical roofing is completed. Contractor plans to complete installation of the start installation of the water and sewer piping over this coming week, and that ties over to the gym. P.S. Jones concession stand, we're 95% complete. Plant operations, we are currently working on grading as the weather allows. It's been very wet. We are conditioning the soil at our Harley rate that we bought last year's capital. Has been a great improvement for us in our department. Washington Utilities have installed the transformers, and we're hoping to have electric this week so we can do the final inspections with the GC. Eastern Elementary multi-purpose building. There's pictures attached also of the concrete truck pumping the concrete and the footers. Eastern Elementary footers have been poured. They're installing the form boards and foundations, installing the rebar and anchor bolts. You see attached photos. Construction schedule. Miss Lisa, did you get a chance? Okay, that's attached too. the construction schedule, and they are planning to finish up and complete it if weather allows on May 17th, and they've allowed a few rain days in their project. But just another note, there have been over 30 rain days that has drastically affected this project since they were awarded the contract. We've had a very, very wet winter so far, fall. Eastern Elementary bathroom, Pod 2. Bathroom renovations, the heating system has been completed of Phase 1 of our storefront glass enclosure, scheduled to start within the next week. We're hoping the materials will be in here Friday. I called today, and they said they were expecting delivery Friday. So, any questions about in progress?
What's the completion date, or expected completion date on the field house at Washington?
I've asked for a schedule to attach to, and I didn't get the schedule before the meeting tonight, so I do not have a current schedule.
I mean, we're looking at another 2 months.
I'd say a little less than that, Mr. Alden.
As much as they've gotten done on it.
Yeah, it's very underway. I wanted to try to take pictures inside, but it was just so dark, and you couldn't get far enough away to get anything. I couldn't get any good photos of the inside, but staircases in, it's coming along very well. Very clean construction, very nice construction, so.
Of course, they're at the slowest part. The finishing's the slowest part.
They've got it enclosed where they can control the environment, and they've got space heaters in there so the guys can work. It was very cold in there week before last with that wind blowing through the holes, but they do have control of it now with all the doors on. Any questions about projects in progress?
Are you still getting information? I know you've got here about the Phase 1 of the storefront glass. What about Phase 2?
I met with DPI, Russ and I did last Friday, and he's getting his recommendations and supposed to be back back to us within the next week and a half. He said he was a little bit behind and he would try to get his information. We took a lot of photos, he took a lot of measurements, he looked at the projects. We did some core drillings of the damaged door frame inside. We took a lot of photos of it, and we sent him what drawings we had of the facility. Foundations and stuff, so he's doing a lot of work into that. And he said he may have to come back to look at, once he gets into the project. Did you find out about the expansion joint? Okay,
Yeah,
go ahead, Mr.
I was trying to think about what her question was on the eastern
being able to
project.
enclose
And
the
I know
rest
what you're
of it.
talking about, to bring it into the wall that's already beginning to settle some.
Yes, sir.
How about that other, is that the 2 week you're talking about?
Yes, sir,
Closing it
to
into
enclose the
there?
courtyard. There's a lot of overhead scuppers on the roofs that come down and dump all that water in the courtyard as
Yeah,
a secondary
that's-
drain
yeah.
besides what goes in. So he said a lot of that's got to be looked at to see whether or not we can
Where
divert
water
all
goes
that
to.
water somewhere else. And that may be some redesigning of some roofs to make the water go away from that pod hole, because currently any extra water that the regular drain doesn't hold, you see all those pipes around the walls, it dumps that water out on top of the ground, and that water, of course, would come through our walls if we were to put walls up today, the first big rain we would have. So that's what he's looking at, how to redesign and redivert that water.
So what does it do now? Just run on sidewalks? and-
It runs out, runs right across the
Just runs
sidewalk. You
across
can
the
see right where
sidewalk.
it runs out
Goes on
between
down.
pods 1 and 2
sometimes
and
into
out in
the
the parking
I was
lot.
gonna say, and sometimes into the
Sometimes
rooms
into the bathrooms,
too.
yeah.
If it runs down there, it would have to. Another one of those inside courtyard or whatever you want to call it issues.
Yes, sir.
Remember the one we had at Northside?
We finally got that one fixed.
Yep.
For now.
Okay. Jump down to the non-budgeted one first before you do
Okay.
the other one.
I have 2 buffers, one at Northside High School and one at Bath Elementary. Both of the buffers are roughly 20 years old. They've aged out and the parts are not available. They both broke down over Christmas holidays. State contract price on the replacement machine is $680 each. And I'm requesting for approval to purchase 2 new buffers at a total of $1,360 plus the tax.
Ms. Harrell, where we at on fund balance?
I have 2 different pots that I've allocated that. One is for projects that are actually complete and finished. You have approximately $145,000 available for completed projects. Then another pot that I've gotten from projects that the bids have been awarded at less than what the budget was. There's an additional approximately $111,000 in that, with the caveat that those are not completed projects, so they they may come back with some additional costs. That's, those two amounts total to about $255,000.
But the important figure there is 145,
Yes,
because we already finished with those.
yes.
Okay, so I guess the 1,360 could be covered pretty
Yes.
easy. Okay. What's the pleasure of the board on this?
Motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion about what we need to purchase? I think we need them, so.
We
okay.
do.
If not, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so you can reduce that 145 by $1,300. Plus tax.
Plus the tax.
Got to get the tax in, right, Margaret? Okay, projects needing approval, I guess is the first one there now.
Yeah, and there was a question whether or not this could be done or not. This was a previously approved project at P.S. Jones to cut out and installed a mechanical type expansion joints. And when y'all approved it, and we never issued a PO to the vendor. But since that time, we found another product that is much, much cheaper that we would like to try. It's a rubber product that works with VCT floor. It's a new product out, and it actually adheres to the concrete, and it allows, got a little accordion built in it, and it allows for it. The materials to do the school is $170 and about $500 labor to install it.
But what's the track record on it?
It's new.
Well,
That's why we wanted to try it. It's brand new. It just come off the design.
But it'll last 50 years.
Where do you want to put it?
At the expansion
Sure
joints
it
at
will.
P.S. Jones.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Where the different parts of the building are built, and if that floors actually move a little bit, and this would actually cut a 3-inch piece of the VCT out of each side, and this was set over it, and then it adheres with contact cement. And
Yeah, I'm going to say something. Oh, do you want to say something?
Well, I just want to say,
You can say something first.
I'm concerned that if you as a board have voted to take action and award a contract to a vendor through a bid process, that if we don't do that, then we're going back on our word. And I think technically, we may have the ability to do that, but I don't think that's the right thing to do. And I think there's some integrity in terms of what we're talking about. Now, if Stan were to talk to the company that we were going to deal with and explain that we've got a new product and they were willing to let us do that, I could understand it. But I think if we don't do it, then other folks that may be prone to bid would have a question as to whether or not they really want it, the bid, once the contract was made. So I think the action that we took in December should override anything that we found out. If that person's willing to work with us, I think we certainly can do that. But that's just my opinion.
Well, that's my opinion, too. I'm certainly wanting to save money like anybody else, but I just don't think that's a good way to do business. We brought it to you in good faith. We approved it in good faith. It was a bid sent in to us by a company. We awarded that. I don't think we should
So we'd
change
be
on
going back? Or
Yeah,
what
I don't
we,
think we should be changing on it this time. I think that's opening up a whole deal that we don't need to get to in the future.
Well, one of the
But that's
concerns
just
is that you brought it to our attention that you're having a hard time getting people to bid on some jobs. And that may be your answer. If they continue bidding and never get awarded, and then when you do award it, you go
that's
back
the
on it.
problem in the past, I agree.
Now, I'm going to go back and say, I don't have a problem, this is just me personally, in you getting a little bit of that and trying it at another school or somewhere
Another issue.
that does not affect this company's job that was
That
awarded.
we've already approved.
Right, that we've already approved, but if there's another school where this is an issue, and it's that, and the cost is so low, you don't have to get enough as you were gonna have to get for
Right.
P.S. Jones, and then you get a track record with it.
We can compare.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's great, and then if we need expansion joints for another school a year from now, you'll have a year to know,
We'll
that
probably have
didn't
some more
really work.
issues at that school eventually because there's some more expansion areas that haven't cracked yet. So in the future, it was very possible we
right.
can try it and then we compare apples to apples at the same place.
Anything else anybody wants to discuss about it?
Well, and the project that was as approved came in well under budget.
Yes,
Stan
sir.
did a great
Right.
job with
Yeah,
that.
still
Well
under
under
budget.
budget,
We appreciate you looking for alternative
Yeah,
ways and
sure.
ways to save money, too.
But I just don't think we need to start that kind of business up. Okay, do you want us to, on the other attachments, yes, I've looked at the pictures, do you want us to look at the, trying to see, we've got the 2015-16 capital, the actual projects. I had a couple of questions
Yes,
I
sir.
just wanted to ask on the 14, 15, 13, 14.
Yes, sir.
I mean, I'm asking it more to the board than you, Stan. I mean, if you got an answer, you can give one. But,
The 13, 14,
Yeah, the
14.
13, 14. Well, actually, it's on the I tell you what, it's on, if you already got one up, leave it on the 15, 16. It's on there too. What Lisa's added here, I talked to her earlier today, you have the 2015-16, which is all the capital projects, and then the one that says 13, 14 are a list of those items that are carried over. But they're actually, most of them are included on the master, I'm gonna call this the master sheet. I know that's not form, right word, but that's what I'm gonna call it. On page 1, I just wanted you to start thinking about something. Just something I was thinking about. On page 1 under Chakawinty Middle School, we've got $57,976 set aside for some redesign of the drive, whatever, and we've been working with DOT for 2 years or longer now. If we're not going to, just my thoughts, if we're not going to get this settled up before too much longer, we need to look at either changing that project, setting that project aside for the foreseeable future. I'm not going to say take that money and use it for something else, because obviously it was given to the commissioners the way we would have to work out setting it aside in a contingency until we worked it out. But we can't just, my feelings are, I don't want it, we're getting ready to have a budget meeting next Monday night. So now we're moving into the 16-17 budgeting process. I don't want to keep carrying this money over year after year after year. Does that make any sense, Don? Because now we're moving into a third year of carrying this money over. So I guess we can talk about it next Monday night, but just be thinking about it, that I'm going to come back to you with what are we going to actually do with this project. Is DOT just holding us up on this? Or?
They do not have the funding to change 17 highway.
So we probably won't be able to do what we want to do.
We have the funds to do what we need. I think the project would come under what we have allocated, but DOT doesn't have the funds to redirect the traffic and do what lane changes they need to do on the existing Highway 17 bypass.
I got you.
Is there an alternative?
Maybe we can talk about that at the budget. I mean, not cutting you off, but get to the budget capital session. Maybe that's what we need to do.
If we can't get that approved, is there something else that would be an alternative? I don't know.
And that's kind of what I'm trying to provoke some thought here. But rather than just carrying it over from year to year to year, that's $57,000 sitting out there that we need to decide what we're going to do. So, yeah, be thinking about if you want to look at another idea, because Stan can't change DOT's, opinion on what, and they just don't seem to be making any progress at all. But all the rest, I'm trying to think, everything else on here was pretty much going to take care of itself, I think. But that one was
so Stan,
significant amount.
Are you saying that you contact DOT and DOT is just not financially?
Yes, ma'am. The local folks that don't have the money to change the lane, redo the redirection, the grinding of the existing lines, and redirecting the lane is currently a turn lane in our way, and then they have to redirect traffic, restripe it all, and they just said they didn't have the funding to redo it. So they just kind of knocked me in the head. They did request, if we did ever do it, to move our drive from 17 to move it over another 150 foot, which would put the drive right in the middle of our existing property. And their reason for that is so that everybody didn't get dumped so close to 17. They were afraid there would be a big pileup in the, Walls Lane, Walls Avenue, that side road that runs down the side of the canal.
But not knowing exactly what the future might hold for us at that particular
that piece
school,
of property,
we hate to take the one large lot that we have and put a street through the middle of it. But there was one other item too. Tied to that is at the same school, CMS, we had $24,000 for bus parking lot. That's tied on DOT because that's part of that same project. So when you start adding that all together, you're looking at over about $80,000. We just need to figure out, so be thinking about it for the Monday night capital budget. Let's see where we want to go with that project. But there's two projects with $80,000 that just nothing's going to get done because DOT is not going to be able to.
The bus parking is contingent on the first phase, the drive, because you drive and exit over. I have drawings, I have everything drawn up so I can present them or show them or whatever.
So this is one of the times we may need to get together, come up with a plan B.
There you go.
Okay, just be thinking about it. Yes. A lot of money, we just don't need to carry it over from year to year to year. Anybody have any questions on this other than that?
On the recommended capital project list, can you get those columns totaled up at the bottom so we can see? I think if you do that, we can see how much money, how you're working out with your budget. So we can see how much money is left over. That way, if we have things come up that we need to do.
We'll add that. That's no problem. We'll take care of that.
Okay, and moving toward Monday night's capital budget meeting, yeah, let's try to keep these as separate as we can, because what Butch is talking about, I noticed that too, so I went back and totaled
I did too.
those.
I
Okay.
did it on my own,
And
but
the
it didn't
estimated
know.
project column is actually $3,210,000. And, well, I know there's carryover, but I know that last year's capital budget was $2,400,000. So there's a whole lot of stuff that's been built into this, apparently, from previous time. And does that sound right, Ms. Harrell? Well, obviously it has to be, because the commissioners gave us 2.4 and we're sitting on 3.2. So there's got to be something carried over. But when I looked at it, I didn't identify but 465,000 in carryover off of these sheets that Lisa sent to me. So if you do the numbers, that's still 2.74. There's got to be something in here. So let's start right now separating from year to year to year, because as we're moving into another year, there's too much going on here. Okay? All right. Appreciate it. Okay, facility needs survey. Don will explain that to us.
This is something that we have to do at different times, and I'm not sure how often they're done. This is what DPI does to collect information from the local LEAs in terms of what your facility needs are, and then the ability to go to the General Assembly and other sources and let them know statewide what the capital needs are for school districts. For us, it's kind of been a wish list of things that we could put on there, because we've just had limits of what we could do. And I had Stan go back and take a look, and a lot of the things that we had on the 6 to 10 year plan when it was presented several years ago, we've already taken care of. And some of those were replacement windows and different things like that were energy related. I think we didn't put anything on in terms of new building and major construction, just because we had completed the work at P.S. Jones and John Small and didn't feel like it was time to do that. What I'd like to ask you all to allow me and Stan to do is to work on what we've got on our capital needs, and then address the things that would be energy, safety, and include those. And then anywhere we have a modular building, to talk about doing the addition of a wing or something of that nature. It doesn't mean that we're tying anybody into a commitment to do anything. It's just what we perceive the needs to be that they could share with the state. Now, what we have to do is get it approved from the county commissioners as well. And I think they're aware that this is not a commitment of any funds. These are just things that we're looking at. I don't know in the 10-year plan if we'd be looking at a new school building somewhere, or if we'd be looking at the addition of the wings at schools to take care of the modulars, if that would meet our needs. I don't know. The other thing kind of going on at the same time, beginning of the year, we talked about doing a building efficiency study. I've talked to the folks at DPI. They asked me to get back with them after the month of January. What we'd like to do is to have somebody come in from the outside and take a look at how we're using our buildings and give us some feedback. That would also help us. But we've got to get this done for the state, and we need to get it turned around quickly. What we'd like to do is go ahead and submit stuff by the end of the week, and then I'll give you a snapshot picture when we meet on the 1st, and then I've got a retreat scheduled with the commissioners on the 3rd, and we present it to them as well. But it's not going to be anything surprising. It's what we've talked about all along, and you all know what's on the radar. So there's not any kind of a wild card that we're going to go after. It's trying to stress what we feel like our needs are as we look at a 2 to 5 year window and a 6 to 10 year window.
So you're going to total up all of the learning cottages in
cottages.
I've heard them called mobile learning, whatever, all the modular units across the county, right? So we'll know how many are at each school, if any, and how old they are. Do you have a way to find out an age?
That's what I've been tracing for the last week, the age of everything.
Right.
All facilities, every building. They wanted to know the age, square footage, and there's a lot of detailed information that I've put together.
I know none of them are new or even remotely new, but some of them really look like they're being held up by toothpicks
Some
and a lot of duct tape.
Some of them were used when they were brought on site.
Yes.
Yeah, they were used when they were brought on
That's true.
site.
Look like crack houses or something.
Well, just so the public understands, we're not using them for that purpose.
I'm sorry, but
That's fine, Mike. I was just
Pretty
going to
bad.
clear that up for everybody listening.
They do look bad, Mr. Isabel. I agree with you on that.
But,
I want to move to approve.
yeah, I think we might need to, let's move on to field trips. Okay, field trips. Don, you're still up.
You give us the permission to go ahead and do
Yes.
that.
Yes, and I second
You need
Michael's
that.
motion.
You need a motion on that?
Yeah, and
would.
Michael gave one, and
Okay.
I just seconded it.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second. I don't think there's any more discussion needs to be said. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's.
And we've been told anything that's submitted can be edited, and we certainly know that we edit things as we go through because needs change. If you take a look at field trips, we only have one that's listed there,
Pretty simple.
and it is field trip number 7847 from Northside High School. Would be covering the dates of March the 18th and 19th, overnight, not out of state. It will be the drill team competition in Raleigh, and you see there are 10 male, 9 female, with the appropriate number of adult chaperones and taking a BCS bus. I'd like to seek approval for this field trip.
Move approval.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the field trip. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's approved. Closed session.
I move that we go into closed session pursuant to General Statute 143-318.11A1 to prevent disclosure of confidential personnel files under General Statute 115C-321 and student records under General Statute 115C-402 and 20 U.S.C. 1232G.
Okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're in closed session. We're back in open session, and first item up is approval of the personnel agenda that we were just looking at.
Move approval?
Have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's approved. And we need to look at our February calendar. And Don, do you have the request that Mac was making, or, I mean, I've got his note right
I think it was the
here.
first and third Tuesday, is that right?
Yeah, I got it right here. We were trying to find a way to help Mac. You'll notice he's not here tonight. His job has changed, and Mondays, or at least the schedule that we're currently on, won't work. And he sent me what would work for him. And I'd personally like to help him out however we can, but that's going to be up to your decision. What will work is if we move him to Tuesday night. First and third Tuesday would work for his schedule fine. Mondays are going to be bad for him, and Thursdays, and personally, I don't want to have meetings much on Wednesdays. But let's look at it and just see, because there may be some conflicts with some other people's schedules too. Let's see what we can work out right quick. So.
Are we not going to change any of these meetings?
No, well, let's just, actually, Mike, I'm trying just to put it all together. It's not, he's giving me a long first Thursday, second Tuesday. You saw it, everybody saw the
We're
email.
still on for this.
So it was,
Okay.
I tried to plug it into what we had, and didn't always work out just right. No, I'm leaving it up to the board to take a look at it. I just know the first cut at it, what would not be any conflict for Mac was if we met first Tuesday, third Tuesday. In other words, still have our two meetings, but instead of going them on Monday, second, and fourth, have them first and third. But I don't know if that'll work for everybody on a month to month.
Third Tuesday?
I don't know if that'll work for everybody. Do you have a suggestion?
Tuesdays are nice because it gives us a day in advance of the meeting to have everything together. You know, it's a little bit different now that we're not producing physical packets, but there's still a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. So Tuesday would be great if it would work out for everybody. It doesn't matter to us which dates.
Tuesdays are fine with me. I have a conflict on Monday nights a lot anyway, but I've just been having somebody else do what I need to be doing myself and come to the meetings. But Mike mentioned that it might
Well, I have
conflict
more
with something
conflicts
with
on
him.
Tuesdays, but
Yeah.
if we could start early enough, most of my things would be 7, but then
That doesn't
that's a
work for
problem
me,
for
yeah.
Carolyn, so.
Well, we were trying to stick, and on that too, because it's hard to get everybody.
Or maybe
We were trying to
Butch.
go at 5 to alleviate a little bit of the issues. How much of a problem would that cause for everybody? If we had a 5 o'clock on the first and a 5:30 on the next one, right, Don? 'Cause the second one needs to be 5:30 because that's our main
Well, that
board
should be
meeting for the
okay.
month.
I guess.
And
You
they're
think so,
still
Mike?
struggling a little bit, it seems like, to get here on time, but for the most part, they can get here by 5:30, can't they?
Well, I don't want to go too later than that for the people that
Right.
are working here in central office. They've already put in a day, and then we have to keep them later
Mr.
for that.
Chairman.
Yes, ma'am.
What, just before you make that final decision,
Oh, it's-
since you are going to do first and third Tuesdays?
well, that's up to the board, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, that's what
Well,
you
that's-
have thrown out at us.
Yes, ma'am.
Since is it possible that we can also do the 23rd, which is a Tuesday, would be the fourth Tuesday, instead of the 22nd? I will be out of town at a
Okay.
meeting on that day, on the
Well-
22nd, which is a Monday.
Or are
Okay.
we talking about changing
Yeah,
the whole
okay.
February?
Well-
Because the third Tuesday would then be the 16th.
16th.
That's
Yeah,
what I know.
the only-
That's second,
okay.
third, but I need.
The only thing
I need-
is, I mean, I was just trying to help him too, but I understand we've got to work for everybody. Fourth Tuesday night, he can't come, fourth Tuesday night.
Could you
No,
be
he
here?
can't, no.
He can't be here on the
He's in
third?
Pitt County, fourth Tuesday
But the
night.
third is on the 16th. Do you have a conflict with that?
No,
Instead
well,
of that?
we'll try to do it for a while, just to see how we could help out.
Okay.
Yeah, and see if anything changed with his schedule. I'm just trying to see what works for everybody here. I'm not telling anything has to be done, I'm just telling you what would work.
And a lot
Yes.
of times, I have no problem with the schedule. But then, because of my medical needs, things come up between the VA and the civilian doctors and all. So I have no problem with that.
Are you thinking that, I know that next Monday, a week from tonight, is about budget.
Yes.
Are you entertaining the idea of meeting that first Tuesday would be the very next night? Would that be redundant, or is it totally different topics?
Well, I saw that, Don, I'll let you speak toward it, but I wanted to keep those separate. I don't want to come to the budget meeting and discuss
Right, that's what I-
regular
All
business.
we're talking about is the county.
Right.
And get the discussion going,
And,
so it
but
would
my
not
thing
carry
is,
over to the
will
following.
there be enough for us to talk about a week from tomorrow? You follow what I'm saying?
Yes, I do, because normally we would be meeting on the second week. That's
Right.
correct.
Not that there isn't always something to discuss, but since we're meeting tonight, if we moved it to the first Tuesday, we'd meet Monday night, which has nothing to do with our regular board meeting, but we'd turn around and meet Tuesday night. Is there going to be enough things
Don,
to
how about
discuss?
the regular sec- He's
The
got
the
second
second,
Monday.
and then what, the
If we
16th?
started at 4:30, because he has a meeting at
Mhm,
7.
mhm.
But that's when he usually has to rush out. I'm just trying to make sure all the board members can come and stay.
I think the Tuesday works better.
Could we
Because
just,
we wouldn't
yes,
meet at all.
we're still looking at Tuesday.
There would be no need to meet at all
Mike, could you
during the
do
week of
that?
the
I mean,
22nd.
I know you said you might have a conflict. I don't want to change it to something that's going to cause Matt to be able to come and you can't.
This particular Tuesday, I'll have something in the evening, but on the 2nd. But,
You could do the month of February with no work session and just have a board meeting.
Or I don't mind meeting a little earlier on that Tuesday, the second.
well, 5, if we can keep it at 5, we'll be okay, probably.
Let's just go ahead and set the 2, Don, and when we get together Monday, if we don't need it, we can change it then. So let's do the 2nd and the 16th. Is that correct?
Mhm.
The 2nd at 5 and the 16th at 5:30. Is that okay, Mike?
Okay, so that's the 2 meetings.
No, we're doing the first at
Not
5.
including the
So we're
budget.
gonna
The
make the
first
first,
is at
not
5 o'clock.
including
That's an
the budget
entirely
meeting, which is
different
still on.
meeting,
the
yes.
first at 5, the second at 5, and the 16th at 5:30.
Yes.
So we're gonna meet the 1st and the 2nd.
Well,
But not the 8th.
We'll make sure, right, take the 8th and the 22nd off.
I mean, the first and the second and the 16th.
That's correct, Dixon.
Keep the 8th and, no, cancel the 8th.
Cancel the 8th, and if you already have written it down, cancel the 22nd. And what you should end up on the board, and we'll make sure Monday night,
Yeah,
When we
well, the
get together.
23rd's out for me, so.
right, we'll have the 1st at
The
5,
16th?
the 2nd at 5, and the 16th at 5:30.
And then,
And we'll reevaluate it at the end of the month and
and
see
then
where we're at.
Tuesday, the first Tuesday in March is March 1st.
Well, we'll just,
That's fine for me.
Yeah,
yeah.
I can do that.
But we'll go this one month and see how. So just tell Matt we're gonna go 1st and 3rd next month and see. And that next Tuesday, we'll discuss that Monday night we get together. But I'd prefer if there's anything to be done on the 2nd, let's just keep Monday to the budget.
Yeah,
Okay.
I agree.
Because I know once we get into that discussion, it can go, I don't want to feel rushed at the budget meeting. I want us to be able to throw everything out on the table and talk about it. Okay, does that make sense, folks? And I
Yes.
appreciate you taking a look to see if we can help them out there. Board member updates?
I'd just like to let you know that, my trip, FRN trip was canceled,
Ms. Camp? Oh, that's right. We
for
had, wasn't it?
Good
DC. Oh, yeah, I was grateful. I mean, I canceled before they canceled me. So, the trip has been canceled until June, is it June? Yes. 12th through 14th, something like that. So I'm still looking forward to going, but it will be at a different time. And I'm just so glad that I found out about this before I get the train to go to.
I thought I saw you slide down that hill at Capitol Hill in the
You
snow.
probably would have if I had been in DC.
Well, no, everything was closed, you couldn't get there.
Yeah.
No
Okay,
transportation.
Yeah.
superintendent updates.
A couple things I want you to be aware of. There's an attachment from the School Board Association there. They're encouraging local school districts to reach out to the members of the General Assembly and the candidates that live within our county and invite them to come in and be a TA or a teacher for a day to have that experience. We feel like there's not any better experience than actually being in the classroom. So we're going to reach out to those that live in Beaufort County. And we're going to talk to those in Craven County and those in Hyde County or those in Dare, wherever they happen to be, if we share members of the General Assembly, so that we're not asking them to come multiple times. And we're not going to put anybody on the spot. We're not going to make anybody publicly feel bad if they can't come. We're just going to extend that invitation and give them that opportunity to be there for a day and see what really goes on with their own eyes.
Sure.
The fundraiser policy that I mentioned the last time that we met, we're meeting with principals and leaders on Wednesday. We'll be talking about the fundraiser policy, so I'll have that when we get back together in February to give you something to take a look at. And we're wrapping up strategic plan work. We've received feedback from a number of individuals within the Beaufort County Schools and some within the wider community. We're putting that together. We've got a meeting on Friday with our committee to go over what the final draft will look like, and then we'll have one more chance to tweak that and come up with a product that we want to present for approval. So we hope to have that wrapped up sometime February, March timeframe, strategic plan.
Is that meeting's at 9:30, isn't it? It's Friday.
9:30. We shouldn't last but about an hour.
Good. Okay.
All right.
Anything else anybody would like to share? If not,
Yeah, I'll make a motion so we adjourn.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We're out.